The last thing I remember before walking out was the sound of my own heartbeat drowning everything else out. Her voice, the rain outside, even the hum of the refrigerator. Just that heavy, pounding echo inside my skull as I stared at the messages on her phone. Last night was amazing. You always know how to make me feel alive. It wasn't my name beneath the text. Her phone slipped from my hand and hit the tiled floor with a crack that sounded too final, too real. She looked up from the couch, her face drained of color the moment our eyes met. "Daniel," she whispered. "Please let me explain." But there was nothing left to explain. The truth was sitting there, glowing in the palm of my hand, and it was enough to burn everything we'd built. 5 years earlier, Maya and I had been married for 7 years when I found out. We met in college. She studied literature, I was working toward my business degree. She had that kind of presence that made the world feel quieter when she spoke. I fell hard, the way you do when you believe some people are simply meant for you. For years I believed that. We bought a small home just outside Portland, with creaking floors and ivy crawling up the porch rails. I worked long hours at a logistics firm. She taught English at the high school nearby. We had dreams, travel plans, kids, a slow life together. But somewhere in those long hours and missed dinners, a distance crept in. She started staying late at work. I started sleeping on the couch, not out of anger, but because it hurt less to fall asleep to the hum of the TV than the silence of our bedroom. Until that night. Until the text that shattered everything. When I left, I didn't yell or throw anything. I didn't even take much. Just a duffel bag, my passport, and enough cash to disappear for a while. She begged me to stay, to talk, to give her one more chance to explain. But I couldn't. Every word out of her mouth sounded like noise against the roar in my head. So I walked out into the rain. And I never went back. The vanishing. I moved across the country. First to Montana, then Colorado. Changed my number, sold my social media accounts, and started going by my middle name, Eli. I told no one where I was going, not even my brother. I just disappeared. I found work as a carpenter for a small restoration company. There was something healing in building again, in creating with my hands after years of destroying myself in meetings and deadlines. The smell of sawdust, the ache in my muscles, the simplicity of it all, it gave me peace. But the nights were the worst. Because at night, when the hammering stopped and the world went still, her voice came back. The way she'd laugh in her sleep, the way she'd hum while cooking, the way she'd whisper, "I love you," like it was a promise she'd never break. And every time I remembered, it felt like she was breaking it all over again. 5 years later, I was in Denver, running my own small renovation business, when she found me. It was a late autumn afternoon, leaves scattering across the sidewalk, my breath visible in the cold air. I was finishing up work on an old bookstore when I heard the sound of heels clicking behind me. Turned, and there she was. Meh. She looked older but not by much. A little thinner, her hair shorter, eyes tired in a way I didn't remember. She was wearing a beige coat and holding her phone like it was some kind of shield. "Daniel," she said softly. "I finally found you." For a second I thought I was dreaming. Or maybe I'd just imagined her, the way I'd done 1,000 times before. But she was real. And my stomach turned with something I couldn't name. Anger, fear, longing, maybe all of it. "How?" I asked, my voice colder than I meant. "I hired someone," she admitted. "A private investigator. I had to see you." I let out a humorless laugh. 5 years too late. She flinched but didn't look away. "I know. And I deserve that. But please, just give me a minute to explain." I should have walked away. I should have told her to leave me alone, to go back to whatever life she built after I left. But something in her eyes, that same quiet pleading I'd seen the night I walked out, held me in place. So I nodded once. 1 minute. The confession. We sat in a nearby cafe. She wrapped her hands around her cup, though she didn't drink from it. Her fingers trembled slightly, and for the first time in years, I realized I still remembered everything about her. Every nervous habit, every gesture. "I don't even know where to start," she said. "That night, the message you saw. It was real. I did cheat on you. It wasn't a mistake. I made a choice, and I hate myself for it every day." Her voice cracked. She took a shaky breath. "It was with a coworker. It started after you stopped coming home for dinner, after we started living like strangers. I thought I'd already lost you. I thought maybe, if someone made me feel wanted again, I'd hurt less." I said nothing. The air felt thick, heavy, impossible to breathe. She looked up at me, eyes glistening. "I ended it the same night you found out. I told him it was over. But you were gone before I could even tell you that." Finally spoke. "You ended it because I caught you, not because you felt guilty." She didn't deny it. Maybe that's true. But the guilt came later. Every day, every year you were gone. I tried to move on. I dated, I worked, I even moved houses. But nothing stopped it. I kept seeing your face every time I closed my eyes. Her voice lowered. "I never stopped loving you, Daniel. Even when I didn't deserve to." The weight of the past. I leaned back, staring at the raindrops streaking down the cafe window. I wanted to hate her, to tell her she had no right to speak about love after what she'd done. But the truth was more complicated than that. 5 years hadn't erased her from me. If anything, it had only carved her deeper into the places I tried to forget. "You know," I said quietly, "I used to imagine what I'd say if I ever saw you again. Sometimes I thought I'd forgive you. Other times, I thought I'd make you feel the same pain you gave me." "And now?" she asked. "Now," I exhaled. "Now I just feel tired." We sat in silence. The sound of rain filled the space between us. Finally, she reached into her bag and slid a small, worn envelope across the table. "This was supposed to be yours." Inside was a letter, yellowed and creased from years of handling. I unfolded it carefully. "Daniel, if you're reading this, it means I finally found the courage to admit how much I broke you. I wish I could take it back, every second of it. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want you to know that not a single day has passed without me regretting what I did. You were my home and I burned it down. I've spent 5 years trying to rebuild what I destroyed. Not with you but within myself. If you ever find it in your heart to speak to me again, even just once, I'll be waiting. Always, Maya." My throat tightened. I folded the letter and set it back down. "You carried this for 5 years?" "Yes." She nodded. "Everywhere." Choice. I could see it in her eyes. The hope that maybe, somehow, I'd take her back. That we'd rebuild what we lost. But the truth was, too much had died between us. I had learned to live without her. But I hadn't learned to stop loving her. And that was the cruelest part. "I forgive you," I said finally. Her head jerked up, eyes wide. "But that's all I can give you. Forgiveness. Not another chance." She blinked hard, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I understand." She stood to leave, but before she turned away, she whispered, "You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm sorry I realized it too late." I watched her walk out into the rain, the same way I had 5 years ago. Epilogue. Months passed after that meeting. Sometimes I'd see her handwriting in my mind, the words from her letter echoing back to me. There was no anger left, just a quiet kind of sadness. Forgiving her didn't erase the past, but it unshackled me from it. I still build things for a living, houses, tables, shelves, but lately I've been working on something smaller, a wooden box. Inside it I keep that letter, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as proof that even broken hearts can find peace. Because love, in the end, isn't about who stays. It's about who teaches you how to start again, even when everything falls apart. And I did. I started again. But some part of me will always remember the sound of the rain the night I vanished. And the woman who learned the weight of regret too late.